Welcome along to the Loftcast. I'm Paul Morrissey from the club's media team, and I'm joined today by club ambassador Andy Sinton. In 2018 we won at Nottingham Forest, and in 2019 we've already won an FA Cup third round tie. We're on a roll. We'll be looking back on that historic cup victory over Leeds United at the weekend, while also reviewing our Christmas fixtures. It's certainly been a positive period for the R's. Plus we look ahead to Saturday's league encounter at another of the High Flyers in Sheffield United, and we'll be catching up as well with winger Bright Osayi-Samuel. It's all right here on the Loftcast. Well, thanks very much for joining us. We'll be looking back on a whole host of fixtures over the busy Christmas period. But first of all, congratulations on your new role within the club. Obviously been a club ambassador for a couple of years now, and you've taken on the role as a trustee of the QPR Trust. How much does that mean to you?
That means a huge amount. I'm very, very honoured, very privileged, very humbled, very excited. When Ruben sort of spoke to me after one of the games, said that's what they were thinking. Would I be interested? It took me about 3 seconds to reply, and start to get your head around what it's going to be and what it entails. But the Community Trust has done, still does, and will continue to do some amazing work. Community trusts involved with football clubs are huge. QPR is a community club, and we've got an excellent team. Credit to all the trustees, big credit to Andy Evans and all his team for what they do, and I'm sure there's more to come. So I look forward to playing a more active role, if you like, supporting what they already did, and I'm excited.
QPR has always been a community club, but you look at the owners we've got here, it's something that means so much to all of the co-owners, that the club does the right things with the community, does all it can to aid the local community as well. And that's highlighted by the fact that one of the co-owners, and of course the chairman of the trust, Ruben Nanalingham, sought you out to personally ask you to become a trustee.
Yeah, I think that's credit to Ruben and all the guys who are on there. As I said, we do some fantastic work. We impact the lives of so many, covering from 3-year-olds right up to 80, 90-year-olds, covering all sorts of programmes. I'm fortunate that I've been involved in some, gone into some, and as I say, I really, really like what we do. And as I say, it's a massive part of our football club. Let's not underestimate the role it plays. We play at Loftus Road, every other week, but the community guys are on the ground, they're out in the community, they're pushing their programmes forward every day, and they are the face of the club, and congratulations to them. I know we're celebrating 10 years this year, and they're going from strength to strength, so big congrats to them.
Great stuff. And you talk about impacting on people's lives. Nothing impacts on people's lives like an unbeaten Christmas period. It's been an excellent return.
It's been brilliant. You come away from Leeds early December, and you're quite disappointed in the manner that we lost, but you're looking forward to the games coming up. But if you had said to me, driving back from Leeds, we'll be sitting there first week in New Year unbeaten, played well with some really good performances and some good wins and good points, I would have taken that any day of the week. So yeah, it's been wonderful. Credit to Steve and all the squad and everyone connected to the club.
Yeah, Steve McLaren's buzzword always seems to be about reaction. Particularly if you get a bad result, how you react to it, and more so the performance than result. It's the performance that not means more to him than the result, because ultimately it is about results. But he gets more engrossed in what was the performance like, and a perfect demonstration of that is we lost at home to Hull at the start of December. We lost 3-2, and it was the performance that he was disappointed by. We then went to Leeds and we lost 2-1. Up at Ellen Road, certainly no great disgrace. They're going very well this season. But afterwards, while he was naturally disappointed with the result, he felt there had been a reaction by the players, because the performance was such that he said, okay, we've reacted. We didn't get the result, but we've reacted by putting in a performance. And we've just gone on from there, haven't we? Obviously, Middlesbrough at home, a great result against them, beating them 2-1, and then went into the festive period of fixtures, and it started with the trip to Nottingham Forest, and everyone knows all about that, and the fact it's been 84 years and 35 attempts is quite incredible if you waste any of your time thinking about it. But to end that is was fantastic, wasn't it? Because it just gives the whole club a real bounce, a real lift, and the reaction at the City Ground of the away end. I think the Forest fans thinking, what is going on here? Because when the final whistle went, it was like we'd just won a cup final.
Well, you know, it has been a hell of a long time coming. 80 odd years, I think, 35 attempts, and we've finally put that to bed. But if I can just jump back to what you were saying about the performance, in anything you do in life, certainly in football, you usually, if you get your performance right, you'll normally get something. You can be unlucky on, you can be on the wrong end of a bad decision, but usually your performance dictates what sort of results you're going to get. So I fully agree with what Steve was saying. But going back to Forest, everyone talks about the record. We were talking about it the week before. Finally, that's put to bed. But performance-wise against Forest, we were absolutely outstanding. There was obviously a game plan, to go and concede quite a bit of possession, quite deep. Look to hit on the break and rely on set plays. And we got the winning goal. Tony Leishner, I thought on the day he scored that winning goal. But I thought his performance on that day in a makeshift back four, he had young Darnell in alongside him. He seemed to step up to the plate. I know you're probably going to touch on, he's rouse and rallying cry about, we can make history, etc., etc. But he got the winner on the day, and his performance for me typified the whole team at Notts Forest, and it was a great win.
Well, just a word on that, Tony Leishner, and the fact that we did have this record. And it'd be interesting to get your thoughts from a player's mentality. Some people can almost not want to hear, we've never won there. It's been 84 years. This is our 35th attempt. Some people almost, I don't want to hear that, and not shy away from it, but not want to hear about it, which I understand. But Tony Leishner, interestingly, said afterwards that in the team huddle just before kickoff, his whole talk was about, we can be the ones that make history here. It was almost like he was putting it at the forefront of their minds rather than trying to ignore the fact. He used it as a motivator to get us across the line. So from a player's mentality, I'd imagine that's quite good. It's quite a strong approach, isn't it?
I think it's fantastic, and certainly someone like Tony, who, let's face it, is new to the club. He hasn't played against Notts Forest before, so he hasn't been part of that. Many people from the outside, so it's got nothing to do with him, but he's taken it. I wouldn't say he's taken them on himself, because I know leading up to the game, we spoke to Jake Bidwell, and he was saying exactly the same. That records are going to come to an end sooner or later. Yeah. So as a player, I always used to look at records. If you haven't beat a side, you haven't played well against this side, I always used to think, you know what, next game gives us an opportunity to put that one to bed. Tony did it, big rouse and rallying call to the troops, the boys, and they went out and put on a great performance and a really, really good win.
And having gone and beaten Nottingham Forest, we then played Ipswich at home, and obviously Ipswich are at the foot of the Championship table. It's going to be very difficult for them, you think, over the course of the second half of the season. But most QPR fans were saying this would be so QPR to go to Nottingham Forest and win for the first time in 84 years and then lose at home to the team bottom of the league. But it was a very professional performance, a comfortable 3-0 win against Ipswich, and it just so much encouragement it could take just from the way things are progressing.
Well, you used the words professional, and that's what it was. You come back from Forest with all that goes around that. Boxing Day is always a tricky one for various sort of reasons. Bottom of the table, you think the expectation around the place is we probably just got to turn up and win this, but football's not like that. You've got to go and earn that right. I was relatively impressed with Ipswich, to be fair, as a bottom of the table team in terms of the way they wanted to play in their possession. I didn't think they were ever really going to hurt us, to be fair, and it was just the case. First goals are key, any level of football, any game. We got that. Naki Will's instrumental, long range strike. Keeper fumbles a little bit. Credit the path for following in, who's been, excellent over recent months. He's starting to get that end product from his endeavour that we know he's got. Then we get another goal from a set play. Freeman's delivery again. Lynchy back in the side. Now that's a big call actually from Steve, to bring Lynchy back in. Just kept the clean sheet, just made history up at Forest, but Steve's gone, you know what, this is my favoured centre-back pairing. Puts Lynchy in, he responds with a second goal. And I thought pretty much that was the game done and dusted. The second half developed in, for me, a little bit of a lull. where I didn't think they were going to score. It was just a case of could we step it up. But that game for me was lightened up with a moment of magic from Naki Wills. You know, that goal.
A great team goal.
Yeah, the goal he scores, you know, was it 20 passes or something? Ilias Chairs just come on, plays a little role in it. But individually for Naki to have that awareness of where he is in the box, know exactly what he's doing, use the pace of the ball to let it run across him. And his finish was sublime. You know, I could watch that type of goal time and time again. But yeah, a really good victory, great professional performance.
And you talk about players, Ilias Chair's little pass into Naki Wells, and afterwards Ilias Chair said, through playing with Naki day in, day out in training, he knows Naki likes to make that late forward run to the near post. So it almost looked like a blind pass, if you like, from Ilias Chair. He's right over in the corner and he's just put it into that area. But I suppose it's that knowledge of your teammates that Naki was gambling on that, and Ilias knows he likes to make that gamble.
Well, that comes from the training ground, you know, working with players and understanding what they like. All players have got their strengths and they'll make certain things that you get used to, and that comes, as I say, with continuity, playing with players, training with players every day. But Ilias, you know, he's played a key role in that, and that little cutback he plays is really, really good. But Naki's finish is fantastic for me, brilliant.
And then on to Reading, a 0-0 draw at Reading, second bottom in the table. Was that a game where we slipped up?
Well, a lot of people thought so.
We've set such high standards, that's our problem.
A lot of people thought so on the day, you know, at the final whistle, you could sense a bit of disappointment around. But, you know, again, Reading, I think going into that game was second bottom, just got a new manager a week before, 10 days before. Point to prove, you know, we go in, just won 3 in a row, expectation high, let's just roll these over. But Reading, I thought, you know, they were really, really good. Certainly dominated possession in the first half. You know, as a QPR fan, I don't like to see a side out Loftus Road having 60% possession. But we grew into the game, got better in the second half, created a few chances, but it wasn't to be. But you walk away 0-0, you take a point, but if you put that into the mix of the 4 games combined, 10 points from 4, you'll take that all day long. And
at the full-time whistle, we were a point off the playoffs. Then Derby got a late equaliser, which made it 2 points. Then they got a late winner, which made it 4 points. Quite incredible. And then on to Aston Villa, just very briefly on that. A 2-2 draw up at Villa Park, and that's certainly an excellent point to take, particularly having gone a goal down midway through the first half, and you think it's going to be very difficult for us now to come back. But it was a great response, and what a goal from Luke Freeman to get us back on parity.
It was, the celebrating a new year, if you like. Couldn't think of a better place to go than Villa Park, steeped in history, 40-odd, close to 40,000. But I think we showed on the day, we've got a bit, as a team, we've got a bit of everything. We can play, we can attack, we're not frightened of anyone, and we can dig deep when we have to. We can play in hostile environments. So for me, that was a really good performance, a really, really good point, you know, to go a goal behind. For me, the pleasing thing about that game is once we went a goal behind, it didn't seem to affect us.
No, we seemed to actually react to it rather than cling on. We seemed to grow.
You know, when we start creating things, we put a few things at the box. Eberechi had a fantastic chance, you know, which he was just a little bit off balance and stretching. But Luke Freeman, you know, I just mentioned Naki Wells' goal against Ipswich. Luke Freeman at Aston Villa, what a strike. You know, he picks it off 35 yards there from goal, central. There's only one thought on his mind. He sets himself, he steadies himself, and he crashes an unstoppable left foot strike in. Brilliant goal.
And great to see Eberechi score as well.
Been a long time for Eberechi. You know, people were starting to say, he hasn't scored for 15, 16 games. Been a key part of the revival, you know, that we've gone through after the horrendous opening sort of start of the season. But again, Eberechi's goal, great team goal, good break. You know, Luke does well, Pav does brilliant. I think we saw signs on that goal, Pav's renewed confidence, if you like, because he's actually picked. Naki's on a near post run, but he's cutted behind where Eberechi's at the far post unmarked. Still got a hell of a lot to do. Great finish, and delighted for him.
Yeah, and I think it's worth remembering as well, Eberechi, he's only 20 years old and he's only started 34 games at championship level. He's an absolute novice. He's right at the infancy of his career. His problem, if you like, if it is a problem, is he's got so much potential. People expect him to be right at the top of his game every week, and whoever you are, I'd imagine that's not possible, but certainly when you're in the infancy of your career, it's not possible. And there is almost that... Is there too much expectancy on him?
Well, coming back to the points you make, and they're great points, and I probably say it whenever I'm interviewed, you know, he's a fantastic talent, he's done brilliantly well, but you're right, he's still in the infancy of his career, learning his trade, and I try and dampen it down to a degree, you know, because, what is he, 20, 21, hell of a lot of expectation. You know, he's a confident young man. He'll have his ups and downs, he'll peaks and troughs as a young player does, but I see signs every time I see him. Maturity, he's a great kid as well, works his socks off, and he's doing really, really well. But just getting that balance right of telling people and purring about how good he is and things he can do, but at the same time just saying, you know, we'll put the reins on a little bit. He's still a young boy learning his trade, and but he's doing, just like some of the other young guys in the squad, doing really, really well. What
was the most pleasing game from the Christmas period for you?
Probably see Forest, because you know, we didn't stop talking about that and the performance up at Forest. But probably for me, I think to go somewhere like Aston Villa with the quality, the names they've got in their squad, the money that they've spent, the hostileness of the crowd, for us to show the type of performance that we showed, the maturity, the skill levels, being able to dig deep when needed. I think that was really, really pleasing for me, because that to me shows that we've got nothing to be frightened of. We can play, we can compete, and I've just mentioned the two things about Villa. We're above them in the table, so credit to everyone for that.
And I'll tell you what's interesting as well is after the first 4 games of the season that we lost, and we brought in 4 players in Angel Rangel, Tom Ahmed, Naki Wells and Jeff Cameron, and we quickly got better and better, and people were saying, cool, good job we got those 4 in, and I'm absolutely not disputing that. But what is interesting, over the Christmas period, only 1 of those 4 was available, and we were still able to go to Nottingham Forest and win, comfortably beat Ipswich at home, a 0-0 draw with Reading, and then go to a place like Villa Park and get a very hard-fought draw, and that's with only 1 of those 4 players available. So it says a lot about what's happened on the training pitch with effectively the same group of players.
Now, I think those players that you mentioned, you know, the experience that was needed, much needed, and I think they've played a huge, huge role in turning our fortunes around. But as you say, over recent games, the likes of Thomas and Jeff and Angel haven't been in the side. But I think what you're seeing now is you can learn from those players of what they've done on the training ground, how they conduct, how they act, how they react to adversity sometimes. And I think that's starting to come through, because, as I say, we've been excellent without them. Yep, we're delighted we've got them, we need them back. But as I say, let's give credit to the guys who've stepped in and really stepped up to the plate and put in some good performance and helping us on this run that we're on.
Yeah, and just finally on the Christmas period, or in fact the season to date, the goals have been spread out, which is always encouraging, isn't it? You're not reliant on one particular player to put the ball in the back of the net. Luke Freeman, Naki Wells and Pavel Shoek have all got 6 goals this season, and Eberechi has got 4, so it's encouraging to see goals coming from different areas of the pitch.
Yeah, I like that. You know, you're not reliant on one man, and if he dries up or gets a knock or gets an injury, then you're not sure where your goals are coming from. I think the way the team is playing and evolving, you know, there's goals from all over the pitch. And Naki, you know, he didn't score for 8 or 9 games. People will say, you know, he's a striker, he hasn't scored. His contribution to the team was brilliant, and he's always going to score goals. Luke, we know, has got quality, both with you know, set plays, his deliveries, assists, and he can add goals. Pav, I've already spoke about. You know, we're now starting to see end product in terms of goals, return, and assists from him. And young Eberechi, you know, will always score goals because of the talent he's got. So yeah, put into the mix that, Tony Leishner's got a couple of really important goals, scored the winner at Reading and scored the winner at Forest.
Hit the bar twice against Reading.
Hit the bar twice, and Lynchy's chipped in with a couple, and Jake gets a goal at the weekend. Mass has got a couple, so yeah, goals from all over the park.
4 points off the playoffs, take that at this stage.
Certainly would. I certainly would have done after 4 games of the season, but... listen, there's a hell of a lot of football to be played yet. There's a long, long way to go, but I sound a little bit old school and a little bit pragmatic, Let's move on to the next game, see what that brings. Keep accumulating points, whether it's 1 or 3. Keep your runs, keep your level of performance high, your consistency high. And I think we're seeing with this league this year, it's very, very open. So who knows? I think we're in a great position.
Tickets are on general sale for QPR's next home game. It's against Preston North End on the 19th of January, Saturday, 3 o'clock kickoff. To book your seat, visit eticketing.co.uk/QPR. Okay, so we've spoken there about the recent run of form in the league over the Christmas period, and then we had a break from the Sky Bet Championship for the third round cup tie against Leeds United. It was another unwanted record, trying to get into the fourth round of the FA Cup at the first time of asking without the need for a replay, something we hadn't achieved since 1996. Both, and we're playing against Leeds who are top of the Championship, so certainly not a shoo-in in terms of a result. Both sides made changes. What were your thoughts on the starting lineup for QPR?
I always thought Steve was going to rest a few. Key players, obviously Joe got his facial injury up at Villa 4 or 5 days, so that was always going to be one for me. I always felt, you put your manager's hat on, with Thomas being out, I thought Naki Wells would get a rest. And it was just a case of what else he did, but more importantly, I saw the Leeds manager announce his team 2 days before. And I just looked at what he was doing and I thought, I'm not sure what Steve's going to do, and that's a manager's decision. But I thought, we got a great chance once I saw that Leeds were leaving the likes of Roof and Hernandez and Klitsch out. They're without a couple of defenders anyway. Conceded 10 in the last 4 games with what you would say their strongest sort of side, back four. So Steve made changes. I thought a couple of the younger boys who he brought in really did themselves a power of good in their performance. A pleasing win. Yeah, and it was interesting the changes he made were largely forced upon him. Obviously, Joe Lumley you spoke about. Joel Lynch had been struggling. Tony Leisner has also had an injury. He's been struggling with. Pavel Shawek obviously went off against Aston Villa in the second half with a knock to the Achilles ankle area, and Naki Wells has been playing with a dead leg for the last couple of games. So I think it was, I don't know if opportunity is the right word, but there was a chance to sort of give them time to recover without going through another fixture. But then in doing so, he also kept in a lot of the first teamers as well, like in terms of players like Luke Freeman, Jake Bidwell, who you could argue may have, you could make a point for them having a rest because they're playing week in, week out. But he was very keen to make progress in this competition, so he was trying to get that balance right between, there are players that I do need to give a rest after, like prime examples, Darnell Furlong, not played all season, played 4 games in 10 days. Naturally there's going to be fatigue there regardless of how fit you are as an individual, yet he was put straight in because we had the injuries to Lynch and Leisner where they needed to be rested. The players that came in, just how well did they do? A couple of them I thought did really, really well. I would probably single out Remote. What do you like about him? Well, he burst on the scene, what was it, 16, 17, 18 months ago, and I really like what I saw there, with his all-round game as a centre forward. Then he seemed to disappear out the picture. Well, didn't seem to, did. Continued his progress at the 23 level, and credit to the coaches, who've worked day in, day out with him. There's a player in there. What have I like about Rem? His movement, he's quick. His hold-up play seems to have come on leaps and leaps and bounds. He's a confident young lad, as we showed by grabbing the ball for the penalty, which it's no mean feat for a 20-year-old, certainly in front of a packed away end, Leeds. You know, I've done that walk in front of Leeds fans, and I'll just say Rem won better than me. so we'll leave it at that. But no, that really pleased me. His all-round game, you know, he's a goal scorer as well. If you look at the output of goals he gets in the 23s, can he transfer that into first team level? Well, we won't really know until he gets a run of games. But in terms of, I think, the way Steve wants his front players to be, mobile, can run channels, can bring people into the game, Rem fits that bill. I thought he was excellent on Sunday. Bright Osayi-Samuel, I think, is showing signs of real maturity. You know, he's been here a year now. Chances have been a bit limited, but he's growing. He excites me. Why does he excite me? Because as a former wide player, I think he's always positive when he gets the ball. I think his first thought when he receives the ball is, can I get at my fullback? Can I put my fullback on the back foot rather than can I get it and play safe and square? And so he's improving, and I thought his performance was really good. Great to see Grant Hall back in the side and get a full 90 odd minutes under his belt. You know, he'll be better for that. And let's face it, 18 months ago Grant was arguably our main player. So he's had some real bad luck and misfortune. So from that point of view, from a human element, really delighted to see him back and playing. And if he can get minutes and keep progressing, that's almost like signing a brand new player and signing a top class player at our level as well. So yeah, that was pleasing for me.
You talk about Aramide Ote there as well. Like you say, he sort of disappeared from the first team picture for the last 18 months or so, and you can almost forget about him entirely because you're just thinking about the first team just from a support point of view, and then he returns and it's like, oh yeah, okay. Obviously, I could imagine a lot of work goes on in that 18 months to almost get him back to that stage. And I can't talk about Aramide Ote personally. I'm obviously not involved in all of that, but what I'm saying is, for a young player to have a bit of first team and then not have any for a few months, mentally that must be so hard to get yourself going again. And when you're seeing younger players around you getting the opportunity and you're not getting it, and I'd imagine it leads to self-doubt and numerous other challenges. From your point of view as a young player, did you experience anything similar to that, and how difficult is it?
Not to that extent where you're playing and you go a long way out of the scene. And let's face it, I'm a bit like you. I don't know Rem to a degree, but there must have been reasons why he went from where he was to out the picture. I'm not saying what they could be or whatever, but you know, I say to young players, when you're going well and when you're training and you get into the first team, that's the start. That's the start. You've actually got to do that and some and more. You know, that's to keep in there. So credit to the coaches, you know, because he's gone back to the 23s, he's continued his development, and as I say, it can be tough for young players, you know, mentally to feature. They're not, just as you say. Credit to Rem.
Yeah.
You know, he's stuck at it and he's worked his way through things on the training ground. He's obviously put himself back in the mind of Steve. Steve selected him the other day, and let me tell you, he wouldn't have done himself any harm with anyone. And just by his movement, his endeavour, that gets crowds going as well. So full credit to him and everyone involved with young Rem Ote, and he's one for the future.
Yeah, and obviously the second half, it was an interesting one because you're looking thinking, oh, it's going to be a replay, the run's going to continue, and then Jake Bidwell pops up, one of the unlikelier goal scorers, and of course he won the penalty, let's not forget. It was a good header from him, and it caps off good performances that he's been putting in week out. It's interesting to know that after the game he was getting all the plaudits, was voted the man of the match, and it's because obviously he's effectively had one assist and a goal. It's not normally what a defender is judged upon, but when you do stuff like that, you get more notice. But what are your thoughts on how Jake Bidwell has done this season?
I think he's been excellent. You know, Jake came to us from down the road a couple of years ago. I had seen him play a number of times, and what I thought of was Jake was, you know, steady Eddie, 7 out of 10 every week, which is that's some achievement in itself. You know, we talk about performances and consistency. Jake was that. You know, last season he played as a wing back, which by his own admission he preferred to play in a back four, and he's gone in this season. I think with Luke playing in front of him, but Luke's got a little bit of license to wander inside a little bit, so still creates the space, and Jake gets forward really, really well. So I think his level of consistency, I might be right, I think he's played every game, so that tells you something as well. You know, both as him as a professional, the way he trains, the way he looked after himself, but his consistency levels have been excellent. I thought his defending the other day, in particular Leeds, his positional play was brilliant. He made a couple of really timely tackles. His distribution was good, and the Brucey bonuses when he goes up for a corner and chips in with a winning goal. It was something, you know, we had tried 2 or 3 times during the game, coming out the crowd and getting round the back, but he's still got a lot to do. Great header for me. Leeds no one on the post, makes it a little bit easier, but no, well done to Jake, not only for his goal the other day, but for his season so far. And I'm sure he'll want to keep his, just like the rest of the team, he'll want to keep his level of performance and his consistency where it is at the moment.
Bidwell and Freeman down the left, it's like Wilson and Sinton.
Oh dear, that's a blast from the past. But no, again, you know, I think I'm right.
But you often talk about your partnership.
Those two have played every game.
Yeah,
they'll now have almost a telepathic understanding.
You can see it the way they.
And Luke, with the way Steve sets the team up, there's obviously license for Luke to, you know, if you look where he scores his goal from Aston Villa, he's dead centre in the middle of the pitch. You know, go on, have that wonder, have that freedom. It gives people a problem. But Jake's intelligent enough to know when Luke tucks inside, there's space on the outside. And as I say, he's been excellent.
And just a word on Matt Ingram, he'll be disappointed with Leeds' opening goal, but his reaction to that, we said at the top of the show about Stephen Claren always talks about reaction, and Matt Ingram's reaction to that was excellent, wasn't it, in the second half in particular? He pulled off a really big save. Yeah,
you're right. You know, you feel a bit for Matty, certainly in the first half. He's back in, started the season, didn't go as, not only for him, you know, for the whole group. And if you look at that start of the season, there we mentioned it, you know, I don't think there was too much blame attached to Matt Ingram, but he was part of a side that was shipping goals. Managers make decisions since then. Joe Lumley's been excellent. Matt steps in the other day. Makes that little error, then you're just looking at him, or I'm looking at him quite closely saying, you know what, where's his character now? And as I say, what he did in the second half, he answered that because he made a few important saves, he came and caught a few crosses, his distribution in the second half was good, so credit to him. You know, yeah, he'll be disappointed, but as you say, once it's in, it's gone. It's how you bounce back, how you get on with the next one. So credit to him for his second half performance.
Yeah, absolutely. Portsmouth in the next round at Fratton Park. Your thoughts on that one? Your first comments on it this morning when you arrived at the training ground was, oh, it's hostile there.
Played there a couple of times, and you know, they get right behind their team. Like many Rangers fans, you know, I was watching the draw live last night, and you're looking, I think there's about eight teams left in, and you think, you know, who are we going to get? Portsmouth will be a big test. They're going well, top of the league, 5 points clear. You know, Kenny Jackett's done a really, really good job there. You know, they've got goals on the side. I was just looking last night, you know, Jamal Lowe, 10 in the league, Curtis, 9 in the league, Gareth Evans, 8 in the league. So they'll have a threat. They've won 12 out of the last 15 games in all competitions. So that tells you what a tough ask it's going to be, but you know, you take it. I think both teams will look at the game and think they can win it. So it's a case of us going down there. We fear no one. You know, it's about that level of performance. Steve will have them well prepared. We'll respect them fully, as we should do. And yeah, let's hope we can progress, and I'm sure we can.
Great stuff. Okay, let's now catch up with a man who has helped us to progress in the FA Cup. So we have got that game against Portsmouth to look forward to. Let's now catch up with winger Bright Osayi-Samuel. Okay, Bright, thanks very much for joining us on the Loftcast. Winning in the Cup, that's not something we're known for at QPR. How did it feel to be a part of that?
I felt amazing. I mean, we started off well. I think we played very well as a team. And obviously there was a few young lads, including myself, that played. And I think we all put in a good performance to impress the gaffer. So I think as an overall, we played well, and it just shows our character as well. When they scored, for us to keep fighting and get the goal. So yeah.
Was that at the forefront?
My thing back here.
So we've got something beeping in the background. There's something that's attached to you to make sure you're doing all your work out on the training field. So we'll carry on. We assume the beeping is because you've reached your target, like your 10,000 steps or something. From your point of view as a player, going into that game, were you aware that QPR have got this bad record in the Cup? Because the reason I ask is Tony Lyson said in the lead up to when we beat Nottingham Forest at the City Ground, we spoke about it in the huddle, we can be the ones to make history. Was it something that you again embraced as players, like, right, okay, we're not particularly strong in this area, we can be the players that change that?
I mean, I was aware of it. I mean, even last year we lost as well in the same round, so I knew that we haven't gone past that run in a while, and that just showed that that was another thing why we had to play well and make sure we won. And yeah, like I said, we played well and got the win.
And was it at the forefront of your thinking, like you mentioned, like catching the gaffer's eye, showing what I'm capable of? You know you're starting, you're not coming on for the last 10 where you're trying to get involved and make an impact. Like, okay, I've got the game here to show what I'm about.
I mean, I just had to be myself. I knew if I was myself and I played how I normally played, then my ability would show through. And yeah, I knew I had to impress the gaffer. Obviously, I ain't played in a while, but like I said, I just had to show my confidence on the ball and off the ball as well. And yeah, luckily I done well.
So I was just gonna say, for listening to what you've saying there, so it's a big step, it's a big game to go into, but you're obviously really, really happy, and you should be, with your own performance.
Yeah.
You felt you played well?
I think I played well, but like with me, I always want to make sure I've either scored a goal, assist, or do something to help the scoreline. And obviously I had a chance in the first half, which I should have scored, and it still bites me. But
is that when Eberechi played you through?
Yeah, played me through. Yeah, but
and you had the tussle with the defender, physically got the better of him.
Yeah, but
it was a good save.
It was a good save. But the win was the most important thing, so I'm happy with that. Yeah.
Is that how you judge your own performance?
Yeah, I mean, like my dad especially, he watches my games, so even if I play well, he would like want to know like the things I could improve on, and that's one thing where I could improve on, like scoring goals or creating assists to help the team. So yeah.
Are you all ears when your dad's telling you, you're like, give it a rest, Dad?
Yeah.
Or does it depend on the mood?
It depends. I mean, like, I know myself when there's things I need to improve on, but from my dad telling me, I know it means a lot. So I just listen to him, and anything I need to improve on, I try and do it just the same way the gaffer and the players and people that are willing to help me. I just try to listen. Yeah.
What was your dad's assessment of your performance against Leeds?
He said I played well, but I should have taken my chances. I think I had a few opportunities where I shot and some went straight to the keeper. So I think I just need to be more clinical in the box and outside the box, and just try to get in the box more often as well. Which
that's something you're working on in training on a daily basis, you know, to try and, if you think or your dad thinks you need to improve on that, is that something you're conscious of and spending a little bit extra time doing?
Definitely. I mean, I do extras with Eustace and Chris, just crosses, being in the back post, which that's something I know I need to improve on a lot, because you never know, like there could be opportunity at the back post, and that's just a simple tap in, which I need to improve on that. But as overall, yeah, with Eustace, guards, just improving day by day and working on my weaknesses to try and make them a strength as well.
Since I'm putting you on the spot here, but as a former winger who obviously played at the very highest level, what impresses you about Bright's game?
I love the fact as a wide player, he always seems to be positive when he picks it up. I think your first thought is, can I get out the fullback, can I put him on the back foot? I see a lot of wide players at various levels, they get it and they play inside or they play safe. What I like about young Bright is when he picks it up, his first thought is, can I get at someone? You know, he's got electric pace, far quicker than I was. And as I say, he's working really, really hard on his, his end product, and he's crossing and he's tight across and getting into the box. And as I say, I've been really, really impressed with him. I know it's been, I'll come back to you a little bit, you've been here a year, your chances have been quite limited. Has that been a little frustrating, or did you know that when you were calm it was going to be a settling in period, but you're now starting to, or really getting close to showing the manager, you know what, I'm ready for this team now, I'm ready for this level now?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I first signed, I knew I was playing against top players in my position, but that's also a positive because I knew I will improve as a player myself, learning from players who are playing or starting already. So that was a positive for me. But like I said, like every single day in training, just try to impress the manager, and when I get my chances on the field, just try and have an impact, as he always says, and that can only put an eye on the gaffer to know that I'm doing my thing. So yeah.
Steve McLaren spoke highly about you afterwards. He said one of the challenges is not specifically you in terms of the younger players, is he wants to get you involved, but his current first team, if you like, is doing so well and getting the results, so it almost ties him up a bit that he can't make those changes. From your point of view, is that something you recognise? While I'd imagine it's frustrating you're not starting, but you think, well, I've got to wait for the opportunity to come in and make it an impact, because they're going and getting results, it's more difficult to go and bang on his door and say I should be in.
Definitely. I mean, if someone's doing well, then why take him out? It's just the same thing if I was playing and we're winning, and
you'd want the same.
Yeah, I would want the same. So I understand that point of view, but then again, it's still frustrating because as a player, I always want to play.
Just want to play, yeah.
I just want to always play, regardless what the situation is. But I mean, I just have to wait for my opportunity and just keep working hard in the training ground, and hopefully things will come my way.
Well, we see you linking up with Eberechi on the pitch very well against Leeds on Sunday. You're good mates with Eze off the pitch, and that was before you came to QPR, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, our schools were close, like not far from each other, and we used to play against each other in school, and then we played in the same district, and that's how I knew Ebbs, and we just played from young and knew each other from then on.
Is there any other players from that district team that have made it?
Mark Boller, he was at Arsenal but now at Blackpool, and Fred Oyedema for Millwall.
Okay. Yeah. Imagine being a defender against that district team. Give us a break.
Good luck.
And in terms of yourself now, what's your target for the second half of the season?
I think try and get involved with the team more, as in play more games, and just every time I do play, try and have an impact. But then, like I said, I always want to get assists or goals. So I think that's the main target, to obviously play more games, and then when I have the opportunity to try and make sure I do something with it, i.e. an assist or create goals, or
The style of play that we have, that's perfect for you, isn't it? Where we're sort of sitting, almost setting traps and then breaking at pace. You must be loving it when you're on the pitch and desperate to be on the pitch when you're not, because we play the way that you probably asked to play.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the style of play, in my opinion, I think it suits me because I know I'm quick, and obviously we counter-attack in such a fast pace, and I think that would definitely suit me because of my qualities I can bring. But yeah, just like I said, just wait for my opportunity to see what happens.
And just in terms of the dressing room, Steve McLaren said recently that he's worked with many changing rooms, and in terms of the spirit of the squad, this is one of the best he's ever worked with. Obviously you're part of that dressing room. Was the first 4 games and the challenge of that what has almost helped make it so special as a group, that you all went through that pain, if you like, together?
I mean, the first 4 games, I still think our dressing room was still good. I mean, we were still together, but I think with the new players that came in as well, that really helped, because I think the likes of Jeff, he's such a big character, and he's someone that gives good advice because he's experienced it before. So the likes of me, Eberechi, Midday, Elias, all the younger lads, we listen to him a lot because he does give advice and tells us what's wrong and what's right. But there's other people in the dressing room, and I just think our dressing room is good. I think we're together regardless of the scoreline. Yeah.
Who, when we were going through that tough spell, were there voices in the dressing room that were almost keeping the spirits up? Because it must have been almost quite natural to go almost into yourself, not talking about you specifically, but as an individual to go quite into yourself when results are going wrong. Were there people within that dressing room who sort of kept the spirits up despite the results?
I think there was quite a few lads. There was the likes of Tony or Lynchy. Yeah, like I said, like when things weren't going right, they still kept us together.
Trying to keep the belief up.
Yeah, trying to keep the belief up, knowing that things can change because anything can happen with football. And that was the main thing, just to be together and keep working hard as a team and as an individual.
How key was the gaffer and the coaching staff at that period of the season? You know, you've just come off 4 defeats in a row. They're obviously disappointed, they're hurting, just like everyone. Being a player myself, sometimes I used to look at managers, how they were after defeats or heavy defeats, how they came in on a Monday. How key were they to keeping very level and not getting too carried away with the doom and gloom that was all around? They deserve a hell of a lot of credit, but what did you notice what they did at that time?
I think during that period, for me, my opinion, I think they were just more like just trying to give us more confidence as a team and as an individual. I mean, like they were praising us, like in training, if you've done something good, they'll still praise you. And things like that, for me, I think gives me confidence, knowing that the manager still got my back. And that's one thing I noticed he done during that spell, just try to give the players confidence.
And that can be, if I can just jump in there, that can be quite a difficult thing for a manager to do, you know, because he's getting criticised from here, there and everywhere, you know, but that's so key for a player at those times of adversity, that you still think the manager believes in you still think he believes in the team and the dressing room, and you can play your way out. And I have to say, the turnaround since that horrible start of the season has been amazing. So credit to the staff, but credit you guys as the players. You guys have got to go on the pitch and do it and turn it around, and you must be thrilled as a group the way it's you know, we're 4 points outside the playoffs. You know, I feel looking at you as a team, we don't fear playing anyone, no matter who it is, where we're playing. And I think, and you must feel as part of the group, there's a hell of a lot to look forward to in the second half of the season.
Definitely. I mean, I'm looking forward to it because even another thing I believe is that when we're playing, I think we're so hard to beat compared to how it was last season when I experienced it. So
does that come from hard work on the training ground?
That's definitely come from hard work. I mean, with Steve McLaren, he's definitely worked on shape a lot, which is really proven on the game.
And does that help someone like you? And I know the answer because I played there, but a lot of people outside the game who come and watch, they think of you as a wide player, a fair player, a flair player, a creative player. But I've been really impressed with your discipline within the shape and your defending and your strength and your tracking back. I think at Villa you came on and had to do that because we're at a period of the game where we really had to dig in. So as I say, that comes from, but is that another way of developing your game as well without the ball?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the main thing I learned under this gaffer is maybe off the ball, which
so important.
So I've realised it's so important, and I mean, like, you can all good going forward, but the defensive side is like one of the most key things, and I've learned so much about like going and staying inside, letting the fullback get the ball, which normally I will be more out wide and like they'll thread passes through the middle, and that's one thing I'm still learning. I mean, I still got a lot to learn. I'm going through it with even the likes of UC cards and Rambo, and just one thing I need to keep improving, and hopefully understand more of it. Yeah.
And that's your all-round game, because again, looking at you the other day, you've already said you used to like to stay wide and hug the touchline, but now you seem to be knowing a lot better when to drift inside, when to come and support centrally, when to tuck in so your fullback can come around you. So as I say, that's all. Well, it's credit to you, but it's credit to the work that you're getting and the knowledge that you're getting imparted on the training ground. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
And I think in terms of the defensive side of your game, I think Yannick Bolasie would agree with that after one of the challenges you put in on him. Just looking ahead to Sheffield United then briefly on Saturday. We seem to thrive on being the underdog. You look at, you mentioned Aston Villa there since, obviously Middlesbrough as well earlier in the season. Are the players going there almost liking the fact that we won't be fancied, we won't be expected to win? It's 25,000 at Bramall Lane, they're 2 points off the automatics. Sheffield United arguably will be expecting to beat 9th placed QPR. Is that perfect for you in terms of that setup?
I mean, we've done it in Leeds. I mean, we didn't win, but the performance we put in was outstanding. So I know we can literally play well against any team. So going over there, I don't think it's any fuss. But we just know we need to go out there and put in the same performance as we've done in the likes of Nottingham Forest away, Leeds, and get the win. So yeah.
Great stuff. Well, best of luck for the second half of the season. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Have you heard about the QPR Ticket Wallet? You can now use the QPR app to store your match or season tickets and gain access through the turnstiles at Loftus Road. You just need to ensure you have the latest version of the QPR app installed on your Apple or Android device and follow the simple instructions on the Ticket tab on the lower navigation. For more details, visit qpr.co.uk. Great to hear him from Bright Osayi-Samuel, and certainly now over the course of the second half of this season he'll be hoping to get more and more opportunities, won't he? Because as we said there, when he has been getting those chances, he's really lifted the crowd, and the crowd certainly want to see more of him. But conversely, as Steve McLaren said after the game against Leeds United, I want to bring these youngsters in, but the players that are in the team are doing well and getting results. So, you don't want to mix it up too much.
And that's what it's all about, competition for places. And when you do get called upon, whether it's coming off the bench, have to make an impact, which Bright has done. When you're given a start, have to make an impact, which he did the other day. So yeah, he'll be knocking on the door and he'll be giving Steve something to think about. And that also keeps people who are playing on their toes, because they know they've got a young kid that's champing at the bit to get in this side, and knowing that he can come in and do a really, really good job.
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind seeing a foot race between Pavel Shoek and Bright Osayi-Samuel.
Oh dear.
Okay, so turning to back to Sky Bet Championship action this weekend, the trip to Sheffield United. They're going great this season. What can we expect from this one?
A really, really tough game, as I say every week, but Sheffield United going well. They're third in the table. Won the last 3, scoring 3 in each game. Came up short against Barnet at the weekend, but there's probably reasons for that. But this is going to be another really tough game again. Going on for 25,000-30,000 people, full house. Having played at the other side of the city, I know what it's like to go to Bramall Lane. That can be hostile. They get right behind their side.
I would imagine being right on the touchline, wearing the blue and white of Sheffield Wednesday. It's not a good place to be, is it?
I think the better places. It's all right when you're winning, though.
Yeah. But yeah, you talk about that cup defeat for Sheffield United against Barnet. They made 10 changes for that game from the team that won previously in the league. So I think it's fair to assume his priority is very much the league, and you can understand that when they're in the position they're in. Chris Wilder, he's done a fantastic job since getting Sheffield United into the Championship, and rather than consolidate straight away, they've been right up at the correct end of the table, and they've just progressed this season, having had an excellent year last year.
Yeah, he's done an amazing job, Chris Wilder, to get them promotion with the points total that he got a couple of seasons ago. Had a brilliant season, first time up last year, for I think it was until about this time last year, looked like they could go through another league. Just fell away a little bit. I think he'll have looked at that, he'll have learned by that, and they're better for that. They've got some quality players in this side. Chris, it's a Sheffield boy, he's got that affinity, he knows what those fans who pay their hard-earned money want from his teams. He was like that as a player. He instills that. So yeah, we go to Bramall Lane and it's game on. But you know, we've been to Leeds, put on a really good show and came unstuck by a poor decision. We've gone up to Aston Villa. We sound a bit blasé here. I don't think we fear going anywhere now.
Is the pressure on them?
Yeah, home side, great position. You know, they need to cement where they are. I've already said they were in a similar situation last year and fell away. They won't want that to happen. Big crowds can be a huge advantage. They can actually be a hindrance as well. Because if you go there now, 25 minutes, if you've shut them out and limited them to nothing, the grumblings start because they automatically think, you know, we're a big side, we're a big ground, we've got big attendances, we should be rolling teams over. So Steve will have a game plan worked out, as he does week after week after week. And yeah, it's one to look forward to. I think it's a great one for us because, again, it'll show where we are and how far we've come.
Yeah, it's a great yardstick for us to measure ourselves against.
Yeah, as I said, we've been to a few places, big clubs, and we always seem to thrive on, or we certainly in the last couple of years, thrive on being slightly under the underdog, if you like. But, you know, we've got players on our side that Sheffield United will be fearful of. So, yeah, game on, one to look forward to.
Do you think Steve McClaren would be tempted to start any of the players that did so well for him against Leeds in the Cup?
I think he might be tempted, but I think looking at the last league performance, which was very good, I think if everyone's fit, and we're not privy to that at this moment in time, I think you'd probably go back to very close to what was against Aston Villa, you know, the last league game in. But as we've said a couple of times, what he saw against Leeds at the weekend will certainly be in his mind, and he'll know, and the players who didn't play against Leeds, as we've already said, will know they've got to be on the game. Otherwise, someone's breathing down the neck to take their shirt.
We've spoken frequently about the way the season started and the first 4 league defeats. I think we get some sort of bizarre pleasure from it now because we've managed to turn it around and do so well since then. But this is our first chance to exercise the ghosts of those 4 games. Of course, Sheffield United were one of those 4 sides. They beat us in the first home game of the season 2-1. Will that play any part in the mentality of the players? I can imagine with the West Brom one in particular, people will be thinking, right, we want to show that we're a far better team now. But in terms of this being one of the 4 sides, will they want to have that extra oomph to say, look, we want to show you we're not that team anymore?
I probably wouldn't have thought so, because if you look at the Sheffield United game, I thought for 40 minutes we were excellent. You know, Eberechi scores a really good goal. I think on that day he had about 3, 4, 5 shots from long range that were close. You know, we were totally in control. We conceded just before half time. And that seemed to... Goals change games. And the timing of goals change games. So they would have gone in at half time buoyed. We would have gone in a little bit flat. Second half, there was nothing in it. On that day, I remember as if it was yesterday, we were on the end of what I thought was a really poor decision.
The penalty decision against Jake Bidwell. They score that and they walk off winners, you know. But I remember speaking to Chris Wilder before that game. They had lost their first couple of games of the season, and there was a little bit, I wouldn't say pressure, but you know, there was a few grumblings about how they had fallen away last year, and so credit to him. But no, I wouldn't have thought it'll play any part at all. I think we're a completely different team, a completely different animal to what we were on that first game of the season. We're on a good run, so are they. So you go toe to toe with them and see who comes out on top. Take a point?
I'd take a point. I don't think you ever underestimate a point in the Championship, certainly at places like Sheffield United. But yeah, take a point, but I'm really, really looking forward to us, and I see no reason at all why we can't go there and get 3, but as long as we get something positive on the board, I'll be happy.
Great stuff. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week to look back on that trip to Sheffield United. Let's see how we can get on at the home of the Blades for that one, and then of course previewing our next home game, which will be against Preston at Loftus Road. Thanks for listening to the Loftcast.